something shifted, and you could feel it instantly. Not in a loud or obvious way, but in that subtle, almost cinematic way where everything just clicks into place, and suddenly you realize you're not just watching a performance anymore, you're watching a moment. And that's exactly what Sabrina Carpenter created. Because this wasn't about hitting notes or dancing on beat or putting on a visually impressive show. This was about control, about intention, about understanding how to guide an audience through an experience instead of just entertaining them for a few minutes. And the difference between those two things is massive, because anyone can be entertaining, anyone can have energy and lights and choreography and big reactions, but very few artists know how to build a feeling from the ground up and carry it all the way through without breaking it. And that's what made this feel different. The way it started didn't feel rushed or chaotic, it felt deliberate, like the opening scene of a film that already knows exactly where it's going. And as it progressed, nothing felt random, nothing felt like filler. Every transition felt connected, every shift in tone felt earned. And that's where the "this feels like a movie" idea really comes from. Because movies don't rely on constant peaks, they rely on pacing, on knowing when to pull back and when to hit, when to let a moment breathe and when to make it land. And that's exactly what she did here. She wasn't chasing attention, she was holding it. And that's a completely different level of performance. Because holding attention means you don't need to beg for reactions, you don't need to overwhelm the audience, you just need to make sure they don't want to look away. And that's what happened. People stayed locked in, not because they were told to be excited, but because they were genuinely invested in what was unfolding. And that kind of investment doesn't come from popularity alone, it comes from clarity. From knowing exactly what kind of artist you are and what kind of experience you want to create. And right now, Sabrina Carpenter feels more clear than ever. This doesn't feel like someone trying to find their place in pop anymore. This feels like someone who understands their identity and is now expanding it, refining it, turning it into something stronger and more defined. And that's why this moment feels important. Not because it's the biggest or the loudest, but because it signals a shift from being part of the industry to actually shaping it. Because pop has always been driven by artists who understand how to create eras, not just songs. Artists who can turn their performances into statements, into moments that people talk about, not just because they were good, but because they felt different. And difference is everything right now, because the audience has seen it all. They've seen the big stages, the viral clips, the over-the-top visuals. So just being impressive isn't enough anymore. You have to be intentional. You have to give people something that feels crafted, something that feels like it has meaning behind it. And that's exactly what this delivered. It felt designed, not in a forced way, but in a way where everything had a purpose, from the way the performance moved to the way it made you feel by the end of it. And that feeling is what sticks. That's what turns a performance into a conversation, because people might forget specific moments, but they remember how something made them feel. And this made people feel like they had just watched something bigger than a typical pop set, something closer to a visual story. And that's where Sabrina Carpenter is starting to separate herself, because she's not just delivering songs anymore, she's delivering experiences. And experiences are what build longevity. They're what turn casual listeners into fans, and fans into audiences that